This area needs rocks. We need to rock it because we love rocks. They're low maintenance. Okay, you can blow the leaves. You need to tell Tom Turner to rock it, baby. I want this place rocking and rolling. If we got dead trees or dead plants, rip them out. We got to make this place look like new money.
What's going on, everybody? So in today's video, I'm going to be going over and also reacting to 10 different clips from Ben Mallah's real estate YouTube channel. And if you don't know who Ben Mallah is, he's one of the most successful real estate investors on the planet. He's also got a super entertaining YouTube channel, so I'll put a link to that below. But to save you some time so that you don't have to go through hundreds of hours of his channel, I've basically compiled the 10 clips that I thought were most valuable as well as entertaining. And as a full-time real estate investor and real estate broker myself, I'm just going to be reacting to these clips and letting you know my own general thoughts and opinions. So that being said, each tip is super valuable, so you're going to want to watch all the way to the end of this video, and let's jump into it.
My name is Ben Mallah, and I buy real estate. If I can't make $1 million on a deal, it's not worth my time. I'm juggling my $200 million real estate portfolio, and everything's for sale. This is a family business down to the core.
Okay, so just in his channel's intro, I think there was a very important point that was made. He does not even touch a deal where he makes under $1 million. It's not worth his time. He's got so many large-scale deals that he's doing that, you know, if you brought him a deal for $500K, he would turn it down because making $500K is not even like worth it to him. And, you know, obviously that's a lot easier said than done. It's pretty easy to say, oh, you know, I only want to do deals where I make $1 million. But the thing with Ben Mallah, he actually started you know, doing duplexes and small scale deals and worked his way up to that. So maybe you're a real estate investor and you're doing like $5,000 wholesale deals. Eventually you want to think about doing small scale rehabs, maybe condo conversions, maybe small multifamily properties, and work your way up to the bigger and bigger deals, because that's where more of the profit's going to be. There's actually a very successful real estate agent in my area, and this guy pretty much only does like $1 million houses, like $2 million houses, pretty much like the $1 million listing guy of my area. And basically what he said is every year you want to give yourself a raise, and you want to try to market yourself and position yourself more as like the luxury realtor, the high-end realtor, as opposed to doing like really small scale real estate deals where maybe you make $5,000, $10,000. That's great when you're building up. But eventually you want to, you know, get to the point where maybe you're only doing deals where you make $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, or in Ben Mallah's case, $1 million. With my rehabbing business, I'm at the point now where I would only look at a rehab if it was an easy $50,000. You know, if I didn't have to stretch the comps too much or anything like that. And hopefully a year from now, you know, I'm only looking at deals where I'm going to make an easy $100,000 or even more than that. You know, every year you just want to kind of scale up the amount of profit per deal that you're doing.
It seems like most of the people, or a lot of the people that watch this, want to get in real estate. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people that are already deep into it. If you want to get in it, listen, number one, have the tools you need. Credit, money, and basically credit and money to get started. But without the credit and without some kind of money, you don't need a lot of money. Okay, if you never bought a house, you need to go and find out what would it take for you to get an FHA loan. You can go up to 4 units, I believe. It's 3% down. It's $3,000 on every $100,000. You need to get pre-approved for that first. You gotta, without the bank and without good credit or some kind of money, you know, you got nothing. Don't waste your time. You gotta have the money to do the deal, and you gotta have decent credit. You want people to loan your money. So go meet with a banker and they'll tell you what you gotta do to be that person they want to loan money to if you're unsure. If you're not sure, find out. What was he taught me in the Army? The only dumb question is the one you don't ask.
All right, so what I got from this clip, and I completely agree with it, when you're looking to purchase your first property, you need to have some type of job. I was making $35K per year when I purchased my first property, but you need to have some type of job, and you also need to have good credit, because that's the determining factor that the bank is going to make when they give you a pre-approval letter. So you need to talk with the local lender, ask them what they need, see what you can get approved for, and then go from there. Now, I would add that if you're doing wholesaling, then technically you're not going to need any money. You know, you might need a few bucks for marketing just to find the deals, but you're not actually going to have to use any of your funds to actually close the deal. If you're doing rehabbing, you can use what's called hard money, and hard money lenders are typically going to require that you bring some money to the table, usually about 10 to 20%. But if you use private money, then maybe you could get it completely financed by a private lender.
First thing I want to talk to you, Mike, about is we need to make improvements here. Like the front here, our guy Tom did a great job on the entrance with all the flowers, the rocks, the plants. We need to make the investment, and we need the whole place to almost look like that. Not totally, but like this area here. This area needs rocks. We need to rock it because we love rocks. They're low maintenance. Okay, you can blow the leaves. You need to tell Tom Turner to rock it, baby. I want this place rocking and rolling. If we got dead trees or dead plants, rip them out. We got to make this place look like new money. Okay, and we got to have a good relationship with our tenants to make sure we're doing everything we can to support them so they can run their business the best way they can. Typically landlords, they don't get it. You got to work with your tenants. The tenants pay the rent. So everything we do to help the tenant helps us. You know, we need to start maybe getting a bid on blacktopping this side of the parking lot, even though we didn't used to own it, now we do, and make it match over here. I want Tom Turner over here to do some landscape improvements. Everything that's ugly and with all these leaves in it, if you can't fill it in with ground cover, then come up with another solution. I want those areas rocked. I don't like mulch. Mulch is, you know, you can get away with mulch sometimes.
Good for about a year.
But the high profile areas, they pop when you rock it, baby. We're taking this baby to the next level. All right, and we're gonna do everything we can. So when people come in here, they're gonna say, oh, I love coming over there. It's so beautiful, it's nice, I feel good. I park my car, there's no garbage on the ground. It looks nice, I feel safe. And that's the attitude we need to really get in our brain right now.
Okay, so with this clip, landscaping is important. You know, this was a commercial property. That's basically a strip mall that he owns somewhere in Florida. However, in real estate, first impressions are everything. You could have the worst house or property in the world, but if there's a great first impression, it's just going to make everything smoother. It's going to make your tenant happier. You could get a higher sale for the property. In fact, I have a property right now that I'm working on where the house is a little small, but it's kind of a scenic lot. So we're just going to go overboard and try to make the landscaping just the 1%, the nicest landscaped house in the neighborhood, so that when people walk into the property, they're already amazed by the outside and maybe they'll forget about how small the house actually is. So landscaping is massively important in any type of real estate transaction. And to add on to that point a little bit more, landscaping is one of the more affordable things that you can do. You know, you can go crazy and do a waterfall in your backyard and spend $100K. However, generally speaking, landscaping is going to be on the inexpensive side of things. You know, mow the lawn, get rid of trash, do some exterior painting, things like that. They're going to help out so much.
Basically,
you're a potential buyer, right?
Yes.
So let's roll. Okay.
I'm a potential buyer, let's roll.
Let's do the tour. You're here for the tour. I have some other people coming.
You got a lot of people coming?
I do, as a matter of fact.
Well, I don't like to be rushed, so I like a little question and answer at first.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
You don't know nothing about this place, he does.
Oh,
Me and him ain't gonna get along, I'll tell you right now. You gotta deal with him. We're gonna be fighting with this guy.
Yeah.
All right, fine, we'll do it his way, but
I'll go up on that.
Anyway.
Keep it rolling, that's all.
well, you know, there's a lot to roll here. How long has this place been empty? Come on, you wanna get busy? I'll show you how to get busy, buddy. I'll show you. How long has this place been empty now?
2 years. 2 years.
2 years, bullshit. You guys wanna come for the tour? Can the weight handle it? We're gonna have to put you guys to work. 2 years. Has it always been run as an ALF?
Okay.
Has it always been an ALF?
I didn't mean to irritate you, I'm just...
Has it always been an ALF?
Yes, that I know of, yes.
It's not been apartments, right?
Not
Always an
that
ALF,
not that I'm
okay.
aware of.
Who dressed you today? I'm just kidding. I'm gonna pick on him now. He's starting a fight.
Don't
You
you
bring me to a fight, I'm gonna give you one. Where are you from?
I'm from Michigan.
Oh boy. We all know what the hell goes on in Detroit, Michigan.
We do.
Most crookedest place in the world. This guy looks like he used to sell used cars. I hope you got a sense of humor today.
Yeah, you got a good one. I like it. We gotta lighten up. I like
This
jokes
guy's
too.
not gonna have a good day today because you know
I
his
had a great
face.
day already. My first meeting this morning.
Bam! He found a sucker. He reels him in. You didn't come over here for Lauderdale, did you?
Yes, I did. Just to meet you.
Oh, I appreciate that. But looks like we're gonna have some trouble here. Listen, is this owned by the Scientologist or what?
It's not owned by Scientology.
Because I seen a guy with the flagship shirt. He's drop ceiling.
Okay, so I included that clip because it's pretty comical. The guy showing the property was trying to give Ben a hard time and kind of rush him through the deal. And Ben's probably not the person you want to do that to. But the overall point of this clip is to ask the seller or listing agent as much information as possible. If you remember in the clip, he was just asking him tons and tons of different questions. Was this an ALF? Did Scientologists own it? Different things like that. The more information you can have from the seller or listing agent before you make your offer, the better of an offer it's going to be. You know, just the more information you have in general. So always do your research, look up the property's history, ask the listing agent or seller, as many questions as you want. And that's just going to help you make a much stronger offer.
All right, Big Blair says, best way to evict tenants without going through the courts.
I don't know, it's a little shallow there. You don't want to be able to get that close. Listen to this.
The best way, there's a lot of ways, but there's the only legal way. All right. Unfortunately, it's not the 1950s where you take the front door off the unit and you turn the gas and electric off. You can't do that no more. I'm going to tell you right now, don't fool around with evictions. Get a lawyer. All he does is evictions. So he doesn't charge you a lot of money. Okay. Do it legally. Do not fool around, because there are lawyers out there. They're just waiting for you to do something wrong and sue the out of you. Okay, the whole thing will turn around on you. I hope you're not doing an eviction in California, or New York, because that'll get really ugly. Listen, do yourself a favor. Get a lawyer. Let him prepare the notices. If they didn't pay you the rent, give a 3-day notice to pay or quit. Turn the lease and the 3-day notice over to the lawyer. Let him handle it. Pay him a few $100. Pay the court fees. Sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet. If people ain't got the money, what are you going to do? They can't pay you, and then they got nowhere to go. So just use the court system. It's not a long process unless you're in New York or California. Then you're screwed. But do it with a lawyer, evict them the right way, because you don't want to open yourself up to a lawsuit. Okay? It'll be ugly. You might even...
Okay, so before you even think about purchasing a rental property, you need to know the landlord and tenant laws better than anybody. You need to basically read every single article you can find. You should look up previous legal cases. Try to find as much information as possible in regards to your area's landlord and tenant laws, because each city and state is going to be sometimes drastically different. Like he was saying, with California and New York, it can be pretty difficult to evict people. The same is true with Washington, D.C., and I also think Boston is the same way. But there's something called a professional tenant. And what a professional tenant is they know all the loopholes of the law, so they can get out of paying their rent for months and even years on end. I actually used to work for a Washington, D.C. property management company, more than 10 years ago. And there were people on the rent roll that hadn't paid their rent in over a year. And some states and cities, they just have these backwards laws that haven't been changed in years. And, if there's a professional tenant there, they can really take advantage of the law. So we have another clip actually coming up in a short while here about how to avoid getting these professional tenants. But for starters, just try to educate yourself as much as possible.
It doesn't make sense. You got to do what makes sense. Okay, new take. What do you want to talk about? We're talking about, new take for advanced people in real estate. Gather up all your assets and sit down with the bank and find out what options you have in borrowing money against those assets to take the money and find the next big deal. The only way you're going to find a big deal is to have your money and your financing lined up. So you need to just gather all the assets you have and liquidate as much as you can to raise cash. That's what I did. I'm just telling you what I did. Anything I could borrow against, I borrowed against. Why? Because I'm using the money to go out and find new deals that are going to make me more money. So I'm happy paying a bank there 3 or 4 or 5. When I first started, I was paying 12% interest. That's what the market was back then. And then I had to go to a C lender. I couldn't go to an A lender back then on my first few deals. You got your A, you got your B, you got your C. All right, maybe even D. That's the guy that's sitting behind the back of a bar. You don't want to go there. You get the hands on the money. You find the deal. You get with the brokers selling the properties. You find a big deal. You can't just go out and say, I want a big deal. It ain't going to land in your lap. You got to get out there and see in your price range what is available in the market and see if you can find a diamond in the rough. That's what you got to do. But you can't do it without money backing you up.
Okay, so like I said earlier, you should always be looking and keeping an eye out for bigger and bigger deals. You don't want to be the real estate agent that's been a rental agent their whole career, or the real estate investor that's just been doing $5,000 wholesale deals for like 20 years on end. You should try to gather up your assets just like he talks about and sit down with a local lender and see what you can get approved for. See what size of deal you can take down. This isn't so much for beginners, but more for someone that might have some equity in their current properties that they can leverage through like a home equity line of credit. A lot of people might have tons of equity just sitting in their house, and they're not even aware that they could use that for a down payment, on a potentially bigger property. And you wouldn't want to just leverage everything if you don't have a lot of experience in real estate. But after you've done a few deals, after you've built up some money, some experience, try to gather all your assets together and see what size of property you can take down, essentially, because there's a lot more leverage and better economies of scale and potentially more profit with these larger scale deals.
The biggest mistake you're going to make in the rental business is not renting to the right person or not properly screening your tenant. I've had so many horror stories because I felt sorry for people. I believe they're okay. When you rent an apartment to somebody or a house, you're letting this person in your life. You're depending on this person to pay you and not make your life miserable, because they can, believe me. I've had people that would offer to pay me a year in advance, but I said no. I learned. All money ain't good money. Yeah, they're gonna give me that big chunk of money up front, and then for the next year, they're gonna make my life hell. I don't need it. You need to know how to screen your tenants or prospective tenants, and you better make sure you do everything you need to do. The first thing you need to do is, when you meet someone at your rental property, or even before you meet them, you need to have an app. How many P's in application? 2 or 1? Well, for now, we're only going to do 1. Application. Okay? Make it 2. What the hell? You need an application for them to fill out. And I'm going to tell you, you better get a copy of the driver's license with it to make sure the information on the driver's license matches the application. Okay? Because people will bamboozle you. You better make sure you sign up with some sort of tenant screening company. It don't cost much. Plus, they're going to pay the cost of screening them. The money you got to pay to the screening company, you can charge with the application. And you better make sure that you prove all that. You need to verify everything that's on the application. If they say they work somewhere, you better call that employer up and verify that they're really working there, or get pay stubs, but you better make sure that they got that money to pay that rent. You definitely want to run credit. The only time you can be a little somewhat lenient on credit is if you're renting through the Section 8.
Okay, so as far as being a landlord, this is the most important thing. And fortunately, there are so many online application screening services so that you can just filter all your tenants through there, make them pay the $50, and then you'll have a good idea of what kind of tenant it's going to be. Is their credit bad? Do they have a criminal history? Have they gotten evicted before? You'll find out everything you could possibly know. And then if you get 10 tenants that apply, chances are there's going to be 1 or 2 or maybe even several that are really good options as far as being your future tenant. And that's another reason why you should have professional photography done for your rental listings, just so you can get a lot of applicants. And then you should also price your property correctly. A lot of times, I might not price my property at the market, like the highest point in the market. I might try to do it somewhere in the middle so that I get a lot of applicants. And then if I find a good one, they might be more likely to stay just because the rent isn't like sky high or anything like that. And they think that they're getting a good deal, which they are.
What would you then say is the worst thing that someone can buy? If you have any advice for someone out there.
The worst thing is to overpay.
Okay.
Because the worst thing in the world is you don't want to work for free. It's like I went out this week. The market is ridiculous. The prices make no sense right now in apartments. Basically, we sit down, we look at the numbers, and we say, wait a minute. We're going to invest millions of dollars in this deal, and we're not going to get no return or very little return. We're working for free. You don't want to do that.
Okay.
You want to make sure that there's some upside in that deal, whether it's on the sale, whether it's on the monthly income. You don't want to work for free, because then you're not going nowhere. You're like that hamster in the wheel, and you're just constantly pedaling, but you're not going nowhere. You got to make sure that there's a plan. You got to have a plan. You got to have goals.
Okay, so the most important thing with real estate investing is to not overpay. And the way to not overpay, because I overpaid when I first got started in real estate investing, and I see a lot of new real estate investors overpay all the time. The way to not overpay is to look at 100 properties before you purchase one. And after you've looked at 100 properties, you're going to have a very good sense of what makes a deal great versus what makes a deal not so great. And you don't have to physically go out to 100 properties. You can do a lot of this research just online, looking at Redfin or Zillow, and just use the MAO formula, the 70% formula. If you're not familiar with what that is, just look it up online. But overall, you just need to be very selective with your deals, because just because a property has like broken windows and uncut grass and looks like it's in bad shape doesn't automatically mean it's a great deal. The price still has to be right. I've seen properties in amazing condition at a great price, and I've seen properties that are in horrible condition way overpriced. So you just need to be very aware of that and use a deal analyzer or the MAO formula. And I know Grant Cardone talks about this too, looking at 100 deals. He has something called the rule of 100. Before he purchases one of his large multifamily buildings, he looks at 100 different properties and finds like the best one out of 100. So just keep it in mind.
And I guess my question is, what do you think about investing outside the market area you live? So,
it's okay to invest outside the area, but who's going to manage it and what type of management is needed for that property? If you're talking about triple net deals and stuff like that, you talk about multifamily.
And then how far are you talking about it out of your area? Are you talking out of state, or are you talking somewhere you can drive to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I possibly out of state, but within driving distance, maybe.
What state do you live in?
5 hours. We're in the Chicago area, so
we just got off the phone with a guy from Chicago. He's buying houses for $20,000, but at auction,
right, 8 Mile.
But the thing is this, I highly recommend. I'm the type of person where I like to touch what I own. I like to be there. If an emergency pops up, I can jump on it. I can be there. I can be running it, managing it, leasing it, fixing it, and be involved in all that. So I save a lot of money. We went to Texas once, and my son had to live there because there was no way I could have managed it without him living there. We would have went broke. So you got to be careful. If you buy something that's a little too big, and then otherwise you got to start using management companies. I mean, I would definitely recommend, if it's your first time, try to keep it close to home, because then you got access to it. You're a smart guy. You've done business before. You could be hands-on, being involved, and maximize your return on your investment. So, I would be very careful about buying things too far away.
Okay, so this tip is just good for any type of real estate purchase when you're getting started, is to purchase close by. If you don't know the area, or you're trying to do rehab really far away because the numbers on paper look like they're good, that could end up being a nightmare to manage. You have to drive over there 45 minutes, an hour, however far away it is. So try to keep things close to home when you're getting started. After you have some experience doing multifamily deals or rehabs or wholesales, then you can venture out to doing different cities, different states. I mean, there's a lot of multifamily investors that do nationwide. And that's fine, but you don't want to start by just purchasing like a 100-unit building halfway across the country. I was listening to a podcast where there was a multifamily investor, and he said his biggest mistake was buying too far away. Now he purchases all across the country, but you don't want to do that as your first purchase. You're going to be in way over your head. So keep things local when you're getting started.
There's a lot of banks out there with a lot of money to loan, and as long as the property's decent and you're decent, they'll loan you that money and they'll work with you. Don't be afraid to try to bargain with banks. Everything is bargaining. There's nothing etched in stone in lending or buying real estate. Everything's negotiable. Don't be afraid to negotiate. You can always go up, but you can't go down.
So this is Real Estate 101. When it comes to getting a loan, you should get 3 different bids from 3 different lenders that all have great reviews. Because I guarantee you they're going to have different rates. Some of them are going to be very easy to work with. Some of them might not have the best reputation. So you kind of have to find like the best just overall person to work with as far as the lending aspect goes. And then to add on to that, if you're working with contractors, always get 3 bids on a project. You're going to get a high bid, a low bid, probably a medium bid, but then also take into account who's giving the bid. Are they well qualified? Do they have great reviews? Keep those things in mind. And lastly, just remember to negotiate the sales price as well. In some cases, it makes sense to pay full price or even over asking price. But if the property's been sitting on the market, or if you sense it's a motivated seller, definitely go for a lower offer. You never know how motivated they're going to be. So there you have it. There's my reaction to Ben Mallah's real estate tips. And if you have any questions or comments, definitely drop them in the comment section below. And please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye.